Yuki Tsunoda tried the RB21 car in a computer game first, and what he said is going to make Red Bull fans really happy. It looks like the Japanese driver figured out how to handle the front part of the car, something that Max Verstappen likes to have turned up to the highest setting. But now that Liam only lasted 2 races, can Tsunoda show that it's not the car that's bad, but just the driver? And more importantly, will he be Red Bull's future driver when 2025 is over? Everyone will definitely be watching Tsunoda in Japan for all the good reasons. The Japanese driver is starting with the Austrian team at his home race in Suzuka. This is where Honda and Red Bull's partnership will end, and they're going to celebrate with a special white paint job on the car, of course. Seeing Yuki finish really high up would be the perfect ending, not just for Honda but for Red Bull too. They know they can count on 2 strong drivers to give good advice about the car and help make a solid base for improvements. Tsunoda talked about how well the RB21 performs, or at least what he got to try on the computer simulator. When he talked more about this, he said, "I figured out that the RB21 is not that hard to drive. Even though my car setup will probably be different from Max's, I didn't have any weird feelings, at least on the simulator. I think my idea of what kind of car I want is different from Max's. I want to understand Red Bull's car first and then build a good car for myself. Driving the RB20 last year was a bit like trying to sell something, but I was able to drive normally then too, so I think the RB21 is the right match for me. I spent about 2 days in the simulator. From that experience, I didn't find the car to be that challenging to drive. I definitely got the feeling that the front end responds very quickly, like people often say. This is a pretty bold thing to say from a driver who hasn't even spent 1 day in the real RB21 car yet. What's even more important is that he understands the pressure that comes with this job is just too big to ignore. Helmut Marko admitted that Tsunoda will probably leave at the end of this season because they need an experienced driver to help them build a competitive car. But if Tsunoda keeps doing badly like Liam did, it would mean that Red Bull is giving up on winning the championship way too early. To avoid this, Helmut Marko said that Tsunoda's setup won't be as aggressive as Max's setup. He added more by saying, "We are thinking about using a different setup for the second car so that it is less aggressive and easier to handle." Many of you have probably started wondering why they didn't use the same plan with Lawson. But it seems like the team was very disappointed with the feedback from the New Zealand driver and how little he understood about the car, obviously. If you choose to replace your driver after just 2 races, then you know there is a really big problem that can't be fixed. That's why they made the swap. The one thing that Tsunoda doesn't lack in this whole situation is motivation. The Japanese driver has been very clear that he needs to be at the top of his game if he wants to keep the job at Red Bull. If we're being honest, he's going to be sitting in a cursed car. Everyone after Ricciardo failed to keep their seat for a long time. Lawson broke the team's record for shortest time driving, and the previous record was held by someone back in 2006, when Robert managed to drive 3 races in total that season. Still, Tsunoda is in his 5th season of the sport, and there has been a lot of praise from Marko when it comes to how well the Japanese driver performed in the past couple of races. If it wasn't for his team's terrible strategy, Yuki could have grabbed a lot of points and put his old team at the top of the middle group. But now that he was moved up to Red Bull, it seems like the other team is no longer his problem. When talking about the improvements made by Tsunoda in the previous time period, Marko first thought that the Japanese driver made too many mistakes and wasn't ready for the job. But then Marko said Yuki changed his management and has been performing absolutely perfectly so far. He is in the best form of his life and has made another huge jump this year. Yuki is a different Yuki from the years before. He is more grown up. It took a while, but now it looks like it's working. But what needs to be mentioned here is how unhappy Max is with Red Bull's latest decision. The 4-time world champion has been very clear that there is a lot to be worked on with the car. He thinks that once the RB21 gets better, the second driver will feel more comfortable with the machine under him. However, Red Bull ignored this and didn't want to continue working with Lawson, choosing to swap him with Yuki instead. Explaining more about this, Marko said, We know Max is not happy, but we need two cars at the front. Not only for the team championship, but also to help Max get his fifth world title. It is funny to see that we are expecting a completely different Yuki this year. He has made no mistakes in the first weeks. He is fast, has new management, and is full of confidence. Just because Koda has been moved up to Red Bull doesn't automatically mean that all of their problems have been solved. He needs to prove that. They've been wrong for ignoring his steady improvement in performance in the past couple of years. He needs to show that he could have been on the team a long time ago. But with Max wanting a very specific driving style from his car, there is no doubt that once the upgrades come, Yuki might find it hard to get used to that style. But on the other hand, a very controversial question has come up. Did Honda have something to do with the whole case of Yuki being promoted to Red Bull? Before this, Yuki was very clear that promoting Lawson was made based on a political decision from the team. This put both Red Bull and Liam in a very difficult situation to prove otherwise. In the end, they failed to do so, and Yuki is now the driver who needs to prove that a driver can make the difference. He needs to show that all the blame shouldn't be put on the car itself. Whatever the case may be, there is a long road ahead. Of Red Bull, in very strange circumstances, Yuki has been put as the main focus along with the team in this difficult journey that the team will start from Suzuka onwards. What the team is hoping for is understanding the basics of the car, and then adding upgrades that can make sure that the RB21 will become a much easier car to drive. On the other hand, they cannot do it if they know that the engineers back at the factory have no clue as to where they can get more performance from. This is why losing important people like Newey and Marshall is hurting Red Bull in the long run. This is something that has been confirmed by Helmut Marko as well. The experienced Austrian has gone on to say that once Rob Marshall started to work for McLaren, the performance of the McLaren team started to gradually get better while the negative trend was starting to be seen in Red Bull's car. A very interesting fact is that Red Bull is putting a lot of trust in Yuki to get data for the engineers. Because if we're to look at how things are standing right now, Max's future is basically hanging in the air because of how well the car performs. An exit clause can be activated in Max's contract, and the team has around the summer break to fix what is broken. They need to make sure that the four-time world champion will continue his time with the Austrian team. Explaining more about this, Marko said, upgrades are needed for Max to win his fifth world title. That is our big goal, and the whole team is working hard on it. Of course, every top driver has an exit clause if performance is not good, but they are all tuned differently. This is not a topic at the moment. Yes, the summer break is the time frame when we will know about Max's future, but think about it, we're currently second in the standings. Just 8 points behind the leader, and the summer break is still a long way off. Yes, if Max does jump ship, that would be a good reason for me to leave as well. With all this in mind, do you think Red Bull will see a lot of progress with Koda being their second driver? And more importantly, how do you think this time will end for Yuki? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to check out the video appearing on your screen right now.